Madam President.
The senator from Nevada.
Thank you, Madam President. We're not in a quorum call?
We are not.
Thank you. Madam President, hardworking families in Nevada and all across this country are struggling to make ends meet because of rising costs on everything from groceries to housing, all of which has been made worse by Donald Trump's tariffs that are driving prices even higher. Nevadans, our families, we're being squeezed, and they need real relief. They need us to work together to lower costs for them. That's why I introduced the No Tax on Tips Act alongside Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, which would eliminate federal income taxes on tipped wages. For so many service and hospitality workers, tips aren't extra. It's part of their income that they use to make ends meet. Tips are how Nevadans pay their rent, cover their groceries, take care of their families, their kids. And Nevada has more tipped workers per capita than any other state. So this bill would mean immediate financial relief for countless hardworking families. No tax on tips was one of President Trump's key promises to the American people, which he unveiled in my state of Nevada. And I am not afraid to embrace a good idea wherever it comes from. So I agreed we need to get this done. It's not a time for politics, it's a time for progress for hardworking Americans. This bipartisan bill is a good idea that has supports from Democrats and Republicans, so we should pass it as soon as possible without any poison pills. The problem is that the House Republicans have included a version of the No Tax on Tips Act in their bigger budget bill, a bill that cuts Medicaid, SNAP, and other programs families rely on to give more tax breaks for billionaires and the ultra-wealthy. So we shouldn't be forcing working families to choose between keeping their health care or keeping their tips, which is why we want this bipartisan bill to pass on its own, not part of a harmful, extreme budget bill. If we're serious about providing service employees with financial relief, let's do it now, let's do it today. Because the American people, they get sick and tired of Washington games. So let's pass this bill without playing politics, without taking away health care and food assistance from families who need it the most. Let's pass it by itself. And so that's why I'm calling on the Senate to pass the bipartisan No Tax on Tips Act right here, right now, as a standalone bill. We're going to cut taxes for real hardworking Americans, for Nevadans, for everyone, not just for billionaires. We're going to cut taxes on service workers' tips without cutting Medicaid or SNAP. And let's get this done with strong guardrails so CEOs and the ultra-wealthy don't exploit loopholes meant to help working people. And let's pass it today. Nevadans sent me here to fight for them. And so I'm going to keep working to lower costs, to raise wages, and make sure people who power our economy, our working families, can keep more of what they earn. And through this bipartisan bill, it shows that I'm not going to allow Washington gridlock and bipartisanship to block a bill without a fight. That's why we're going to pass it today, taking matters into my own hands with the support of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to pass our bipartisan No Tax on Tips Act by unanimous consent. And so, notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Finance be discharged from further consideration of S-129 and the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration.
Clerk will report.
S-129, a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to eliminate the application of the income tax on qualified tips through a deduction allowed to all individual taxpayers and for other purposes.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection. The committee is discharged and the Senate will proceed.
I further ask that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Well, before I yield my time to this senator from Texas, I just want to say This is great news for Nevada. Our bill just passed. Our hospitality and service staff, they're working harder than ever while being squeezed by rising costs. And this bill, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it's going to offer immediate financial relief while the Senate continues to work to lower costs and find other avenues of relief for hardworking families. Madam President, I yield back. Thank you.